What to do, YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the End of Days soundtrack. And this soundtrack was basically to the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from 1999, End of Days. And it's a pretty rock solid project. I definitely think there's a lot of gems on here, and it's a particularly noteworthy one just because there's some pretty dope exclusives, like an exclusive song from Eminem, an exclusive song from Limp Bizkit, exclusive song from Korn, exclusive song from Guns N' Roses. So there was some pretty terrific stuff on this project. It was actually surprising how many like differential exclusives that this album managed to nab, and that type of stuff is definitely worthwhile to the cause. And I feel like I've actually owned this album for a number of years and just never got around to reviewing it. Originally, I had plans to review this way back in like 2016 or so, back when I was really reviewing new metal like crazy. But the problem with it was back in those days, I think I probably would have given this album like a 1, 2, or 3 out of 10. Not a very high score, just because there were a lot of beats on here that just took more getting used to. So I'm glad I waited to review it because I definitely think that this is quite an outstanding project now. But I've owned this album since 2015, and I just didn't think of it as highly back then. But I definitely kind of feel like there are definitely some gems on here, and it's just a pretty good burst of like new metal and especially industrial metal. There's some real good surprises in here that really showcase the fact that this is pretty much, if you like industrial metal and you like that kind of rave rock music, so if you like rave music with rock mixed in, that's kind of what industrial metal kind of is for the most part. I would definitely I would definitely have to encourage picking this project up, and it's pretty cheap. I would definitely say it's definitely a pretty cheap project to be able to go out and get and find. I mean, it's a pretty cheap project to be able to go and find, so I would definitely recommend it just to get this, and just based upon the exclusives alone, there's enough reason. And I would definitely have to say I feel like this project is a pretty large like industrial party, so a lot of this stuff slaps pretty hard. I definitely feel like a lot of these records slap pretty hard. And I would just have to say that in terms of like having like a mini industrial rave type party, there are more than a handful of gems on here that can do that. But we'll go ahead and talk about the singles. There were two of them from what Wikipedia says. And the first single was Oh My God, which is performed by Guns N' Roses. And this is like a new edge of Guns N' Roses. Originally, they were like hair metal, or I forget what they actually were, like glam metal or something like that. I actually own their 1987 album Appetite for Destruction, but they kind of were back and forth with putting out projects after that. I know that that's like their largest project and had a number of hits on there, but they kind of struggled to really dominate the 90s after that big, large 1987 album. But this is a pretty rock solid project. This is a new shift for Guns N' Roses, considering that they're not hair metal and glam metal and that type stuff. I would have to say I like what I saw. I like industrial metal Guns N' Roses. I wish that they would have put out an album. I'm not sure if this is an exclusive. Yeah, this song is basically an exclusive for the End of Days soundtrack, which is pretty large just because Guns N' Roses was a pretty seminal rock band throughout the late 80s and early 90s. So that's pretty awesome that they managed to secure this, but works as a terrific industrial metal song. Definitely sounds like something you'd hear in a dance club or a rave and that type of stuff. Just a place where you're going to hear like some trance type music and kind of get really kind of hot and bothered and kind of jivey and out and about at some rave and stuff. Definitely a nice one. The second single is Nobody's Real, and this is off of the Power Man 5000 album Tonight the Stars Revolt. Even though I like this song and I respect this song being on here, but it's just too bad that Power Man 5000 didn't give them an exclusive song as well. This is an excellent single. This is one of Power Man 5000's best songs. It has a real kind of syrupy and kind of this charming kind of groovy kind of energy about it. It just really works as like a mid kind of trance type song. It's definitely kind of has that relative energy. Not quite as crazy as like forgot the name of that song. Not quite as crazy as When Worlds Collide by Power Man 5000, but definitely a nice kind of snaking and kind of real kind of burgeoning kind of bubbler for like new metal and especially rave and trance type music. This whole album is really kind of focused on like the trance rave type scene, and it definitely hits the nail on the head pretty damn hard. So despite the fact that you can pick this up on Powerman 5000's 1999 album is still a pretty worthwhile single. So I'm gonna go ahead and list the 9 songs out of 12. I'm going to go ahead and list the 9 songs out of 12 I recommend for you, and we'll kind of get into that from there. So the 9 songs I recommend out of 12 would be Wrong Way by Creed, Bad Influence by Eminem, Oh My God by Guns N' Roses, Camel Song by Korn, Crushed by Limp Bizkit, Nobody's Real by Powerman 5000, Poison by The Prodigy, and there's some more. Slow by Professional Murder Music, and Super Beast Girl on a Motorcycle mix by Rob Zombie. Slow is by Professional Murder Music. So I'm going to talk about some of these. So really, I was surprised at Eminem's cadence with this because of this Eminem song. I was surprised by Eminem's cadence on Bad Influence. This is definitely a gem, and this feels like a leftover cut from the Slim Shady LP, which is pretty awesome because that's such an excellent album. But this song, Bad Influence, was one of the main reasons why I didn't review the End of Days soundtrack 8 years ago, or 8 years ago, or 7 years ago. And Bad Influence was the reason why I didn't review this album 7 or 8 years ago. And the thing about this song is just the fact that the beat kind of took some getting used to. But to me, nowadays, it kind of feels like a rehash of like My Name Is. Kind of has that same kind of crazy manic type energy as far as that actively kind of goes. I especially like the beat and the hook and the chorus of the song. But Eminem just really kind of has like some extra woozy energy. It just feels like a B-side to My Name Is or something like that. It's the same kind of manic and kind of expressive and kind of deranged kind of Eminem energy from the Slim Shady LP. It's basically just, like I said, a leftover cut from that. So that works extremely well. Has the same kind of shredding lyrics that he typically has. And it's just an overall excellent song. And I would pretty much nowadays purchase this album just for that song, just because it's another taste of Eminem from 1999, which is definitely rare. So that's definitely one to pick up. I feel like the new Limp Bizkit song Crushed is a pretty excellent one too. This is like a club song from Limp Bizkit, which especially in 1999, before like rock music and club music really was like that large and completely expressive on the scene. This is just kind of a perfect little expressive type song from Limp Bizkit. Is for the most part they kind of did like summer songs and kind of rave, kind of mosh pit type songs, but this one is actually kind of like a nice dance club and vanilla club type song from Limp Bizkit that just worked pretty well. It just has this nice kind of low, the production is not really in your face and bombastic, but it just has like a kind of nice, kind of smooth, kind of buttery, kind of yuppie chick type smooth girl kind of energy towards it. This kind of feels like some sort of hipster chick that you would like or something like that. This really kind of works in that sense. Camel Song by Korn is an excellent kind of song by Korn. This is a great exclusive from Korn, and I really like the kind of off the wall energy that they kind of had for this song. It's kind of left field just because it really does feel like a song that would be in the desert, just kind of around camels and that sort of thing. This real heat wave, kind of blazing heat waves kind of feeling towards it. Just has the real kind of desert and kind of almost pyramid or something like that type feel. It's a real good song if you're traveling, especially near hot places, to really listen to. I like these kind of, for the most part, Korn is usually pretty centered in the autumn and the winter, but this is an actual song from Korn in the summer that has its effectiveness. It was just kind of out of their element, and it worked extremely well for them. So this is kind of Korn in their Follow the Leader and Issues days. So I kind of like that concept as far as getting some pretty strong and kind of summery Korn type music. It really feels like a heat stroke. That's really good. Another surprise hit was Super Beast Girl on a Motorcycle mixed by Rob Zombie. This really does feel like you're cruising real at high speed on a motorcycle, especially with the hot chick right behind you. This kind of has that real expressive kind of feel. This feels like kind of in the movies, like in The Matrix or something like that, where you kind of weave in between like the traffic and some of those type things. And you got your leather jacket and sunglasses on or something like that, and the tattoos. This really works as far as that kind of goes. It's just I like that Rob Zombie actually went to the trouble as far as saying Super Beast Girl on a Motorcycle mix. For the most part, nowadays I don't like Rob Zombie's Nowadays, for the most part, I don't like Rob Zombie's lengthy kind of song titles that he has. Some of them are really kind of lengthy and more kind of don't roll off the tongue as well as they used to. But I feel like this one is a good example of some great expression. Super Beast Girl on a Motorcycle mix. This really kicks a lot of ass. It's probably one of the best songs. Really does feel like a trance and rave kind of racing through the neighborhood and the streets kind of song. And another real kind of quality rave cut is Poison by The Prodigy. Now, this is not an exclusive, but this is a pretty nice one. Just as far as, I mean, it doesn't really have vocals on here apart from them saying like Poison, this is the remedy, and that type stuff. But it is kind of a pretty quality, this kind of techno kind of song. It's definitely a pretty quality techno type song. This album has a lot of rave techno kind of electronic type music. It just feels great for like an industrial metal kind of party, and this is another expression of that. So it's definitely one to check out. This has a nice instrumental for the whole way through, and it's a 6-minute song, so you can really let that sink in. So there's just plenty of these. Power Man 5000, The Prodigy, Professional Murder Music has a great industrial metal rave cut and slow. This is another one that I kind of wish that Rob Zombie would have dropped an exclusive song, but I do like what he did with Super Beast. I'm glad he didn't just give Super Beast a regular version. He kind of added a remix to it. But Slow is a nice alternative to new Power Man 5000 and Rob Zombie song. Never have heard of Professional Murder Music before this, but I would have to say that they're pretty damn good. It's definitely kind of a nice one. It's another quality rave cut that's up there with Guns N' Roses is Oh My God. So those are some nice ones. Creed has a nice hit song. They didn't really give anything new to this project. They just gave them a stock song off their Human Clay album. But Wrong Way is a great beat on there, and it's just an overall, it fits the theme of the movie and the album, just with the kind of hazy, kind of beleaguered kind of energy. And I would say that that virtually takes care of it. I mean, really, to talk about some of the songs I didn't enjoy. I was kind of disappointed with Everlast So Long song. I wish that Everlast would have went for something like What It's Like or End, something that could have been more of a single, but he kind of chose to do more of like an album cut type song for this album. And it just was a little bit lengthier, and it was kind of hard to get into. I just kind of felt like I kind of liked the production, but I was kind of wanting him to drop more of like a single, just because Everlast just didn't have that many singles at the time, so he could have used these extra cuts to have kind of done something with it and developed something, but he just chose to not do that. So it was kind of a disappointment, because he was kind of on fire in 1999 with What It's Like and Ends and some of those type songs. And I didn't like I Wish I Had. This one was kind of one of the more awkward songs on here. Just really the production just kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. It was just kind of lengthy and just was kind of a chore to listen to and that type stuff. And then Sonic Youth, I mean, I felt like the songs on this album needed to be snappy. I just think that this album really is like a jolt of energy, and I would definitely have to say that the length in Sugarcane was just lengthier and kind of was not snappy and kind of had that kind of rave like high octane energy that the rest of the album had. I mean, when you get folks like Power Man 5000, The Prodigy, Professional Murder Music, Limp Bizkit, Rob Zombie, Guns N' Roses, all of them doing their high octane stuff, and then you get this song that just kind of has a different distortion energy. It just doesn't mesh with the rest of the project. But yeah, so me liking nine songs out of 12. I'm gonna go ahead and give this album, because I feel like Creed, Professional Murder Music, and The Prodigy are all off of Creed song, Professional Murder Music song, and The Prodigy song are all off of previous albums, and so is Power Man 5000. So that's 4 songs out of the 9 that are already on other albums. So in terms of the exclusives, I would have to say it's Eminem's song, Korn's song, Guns N' Roses song, Limp Bizkit's song, Rob Zombie in a certain degree. So I would just have to say me liking 5 of the new songs out of 9, plus the other 4 songs. I'm going to go ahead and give this album like a 7.25 out of 10, because I feel like that's pretty good, but you have to understand that there's a good chunk of these songs that you can just find elsewhere, but the exclusives are really good. I think for the most part, this album excels on pretty much a lot of cylinders. Like I said, an exclusive Guns N' Roses, Eminem song, Korn, Limp Bizkit, and a new Rob Zombie remix to kind of mess with. So there's plenty of good things to get excited about, but somehow, like, between some of the faltering songs and then the fact that some of these songs you can find elsewhere kind of mildly detracts from the quality of the project. That's this kind of thing. 7.25 is still pretty good. The social score I will give an 8. The social score I will give an 8.75 out of 10 too, just because the quality of this project is pretty high octane and has a lot of great moments for stepping out and having like a nice dance club rave and kind of trance type moments and some of those type expressive type things. Perfect for like the nightlife and the night scene and that sort of thing. So it just works as extremely good. This is an album that you want to pick up for like a weekend affair and that type of stuff. This definitely has those kind of moments pretty down pat, and I feel like with the fact that this album has some exclusives, does have some pretty good exclusives, it just jolts the idea of wanting to get it more. So that definitely is the concept. So this is one to invest in. Yeah, despite this project's age, I still feel like this is a quality pickup just because of the exclusives and just because of its expressive kind of night scene type value towards it. So definitely give it an 8.75. In terms of the future, because this is a movie soundtrack, I would have to say this is probably a one-for-one type thing, but I definitely think I would like to wonder if there would be more movies like this soundtrack, because this was really just kind of a burst of great energy and a perfect shot in the arm for a great night and that sort of thing.